Hey guys, welcome to Whiskey and Literature. I'm your host, Captain Mike, and tonight we're doing the whiskey. We have Frank August Small Batch Bourbon, and this bottle collects fingerprints like none other. It hit the market hard and fast, and it's really an unknown quantity. I've not been doing a couple long form whiskey reviews recently. We've been rehabbing our Airbnb, which got flooded in the hurricane. I've been working a crap ton. And the other half of this channel is the literature, and it's coming towards the end of the year, and I still have like 14 books to read. So I just blasted through the Odyssey and the Iliad by Homer in the past less than a week. If you're here for the whiskey, but if you like reading and books as well, this year I'm reading kind of the classic books. Feel free to check those out. My channel, there's all the book reviews that I'm doing. I think I've done 35 book reviews already this year, and I'm reading 52 books in 52 weeks. That was kind of the impetus for this channel, and whiskey is kind of overtaking it. But right now I have to hit that for the end of the year to hit my goal. But tonight it's about the bourbon. I worked today, I worked long hours yesterday, worked long hours tomorrow. I have just enough time to open this whiskey and see what it's all about. It's really, like I said, an unknown quantity. Not a lot of information on it. Let's read what it says on the bottle. Let's look at their website and then get at it. All right. Frank August. That's all it says on the front of the bottle. A little label here. It says, and it says the same on the back. Small batch, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, 100 proof, 750 milliliters. It says all that on the back as well. I think it's kind of removable label. Let's see, small batch, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, distilled and aged in Kentucky, bottled by Frank August, Bardstown, Kentucky. America's Spirit. Be Frank. All right, let's go to the website, see if there's any more information there. And I actually don't even have it up right now. Frank August Bourbon. Here we go. Are you 21? Yes, I am. I wish I was 21. 21 or older, I think it was asking, not are you 21. So if you're like me, if you're somewhat of a whiskey nerd, and I would just say in the past year, I've become a whiskey nerd. Things to me that are important are age statements. Is it non-chill filtered, mash bill, source of the whiskey? What is the story behind the distillery? All these things are interesting to me. So when I have a website that has a lot of information, I think High West does a great job with information, and some of the other distilleries do as well. And then some, and I've looked at the Frank August website, and it is just a bunch of fluff and propaganda, not a lot of information. Frank August is a call to be open and undisguised. All right, this comes from a whiskey that we don't have a source, don't have an age statement, and don't have a mash bill. But it's to be open and undisguised. Well, we don't really know what you are, so you are not open or undisguised. It's just more fluff on the website, some beautiful pictures. You can go to Instagram. I went to Instagram, looked at their stuff, and just more beautiful pictures. They have a small batch and they have a single barrel. I did not see the single barrel on the shelf. There was 3 bottles of the small batch. I just picked one up. Again, very beautiful pictures. Has some tasty notes on it, and again, small batch. Here's some information, 10 to 15 barrels. And everything else is just what I've read before. So that's the only real information from the website that you can't get from the bottle. 10 to 15 barrels. That's pretty cool. That's a small batch, I think. Small batch is undefined. It just means that it's a smaller batch than their regular batch or a big batch. It's between 1 bottle and smaller than the big batch. So it's nice to know 10 to 15 bottles. That's great information, but really not a whole lot of stuff in there. Wow. I think you could murder somebody with this. That's pretty heavy. That's a nice milled topper. You hear that? That's great. All right, nice looking bottle. I think this is what really is catching people's eyes when they see it on the shelf. It's, I'm not gonna say sexy, but it's nice and minimalist, clean. It really does. It's a fingerprint magnet, worse than my refrigerator. And so if you wanna keep it clean, better keep a rag nearby. This back label apparently is removable, and so you could use it to decant stuff. Have you ever decanted anything? I've never decanted anything. Why do people decant stuff? Just to put it in a cooler bottle? Does it actually make the whiskey better? I mean, I've heard of decanting wine and you let it open and breathe, and I guess you do the same thing for whiskey. And I've been trying to pour the whiskey earlier and let it sit for longer. I just didn't have that time this evening. Just had a small window of time between reading my books and going to bed, basically, to have a small pour of whiskey. So didn't have time to let it sit here and breathe. But do you decant whiskey? I get putting it into a different bottle like this is a pretty nice bottle. Certainly looks better than, say, the Jim Beam White Label bottle. But if I pour Jim Beam White Label into this bottle and leave it for a week, is it going to be better? I don't think so. I don't know. But comment below if you decant whiskey, and why do you do it? Or is it just because the bottle looks nice? I think I have a couple bottles that when I get through them, it would be a nice bottle to decant or display other whiskey in. Whistle Pig 18, that's a pretty nice looking bottle. Has a crystal topper on it. The Von Payne, it's got a nice stopper on it. The Gargoyle pour spout. I should say pour spout. It's a nice pour spout, but anyway, that's enough about decanting. So to recap, what we know about this whiskey is it's 100 proof, small batch, 10 to 15 barrels. It says Kentucky straight bourbon, and it doesn't have an age on the website or the bottle. So we know that per regulations, it has to be at least 4 years old, and it's from Kentucky. I think that's it. So that's pretty sad. I would like to know the mash bill at least. I paid $76.99 for this at Total Wine and More. There were 3 bottles on the shelf when I picked this up. I assume that's MSRP, though recently Total Wine and More has broken my trust when I bought that Hancock's bottle for $99, and I assumed that was the new MSRP, but no. Total Wine and More is charging double MSRP for the Hancock's, and as far as I know, and all the time I've been to Total Wine and More, that's the only bottle I've ever paid above MSRP for there. So I'm assuming $76.99 or thereabouts is the MSRP, and let's get at it. It's very classic. It's a light nose, light and fruity. It's a classic kind of bourbon, what I think of as a bourbon nose. Just that caramel and vanilla notes. Maybe a bit of fruitiness in there. That's again, you saw me, I just opened this. It's not had any time really to breathe. I can swirl it around a little bit. Yeah, nice legs on it, nice legs. There's more fruit now. That was nice. It kind of, I'm even gonna say cherry. Wow, okay, so I wasn't getting that the first time. Maybe the swirl brings out the cherry. I would say, yeah. Just a hint of that cherry right there. I like it. It's light, fruity, classic bourbons with the cherry note in it. So kind of classic and kind of not. Cheers. It's my first bourbon or whiskey of the day. those same kind of notes, the caramel, the vanilla. I say it has at least a little bit of rye in it. Unknown, but some rye spice, I think, on there. Some baking spices, rye baking spices. Let's go back again and again. I was at work today talking to a guy about whiskey, as I do, I guess, at work quite often. And he's a 2-bottle kind of guy. And he buys those 2 bottles, and then when they're empty, he buys the same bottles. Eagle Rare and Blanton's. That's his jam. He is a big fan of the Woodford Reserve Double Oaked as well, as I am. What a whiskey, but I think he, like a lot of guys, would see this bottle on the shelf, or maybe wouldn't even see it because he'd be heading right towards the Blanton's, right towards the Eagle Rare, and not really looking for new stuff. So I think that's interesting. As I have bought more and more whiskey this year, and I think my palate's changing as I'm experiencing new whiskey. And I think buying things like this Frank August, I think it's okay. I enjoy expanding my collection, trying new whiskeys and seeing what's out there. And sometimes it's nice, and sometimes it's been a bust. Von Payne. Anyway. 100 proof, so when you say 100 proof to me, I immediately think bottled in bond. It says Kentucky straight whiskey, so it needs to know it's at least 4 years old. So practically it is a bottled in bond whiskey. And I really like bottled in bond. I think it's a great proof. It has enough to kind of, just so much better than an 80 proof whiskey. It's not so hot that you're intimidated by it. You can sip on it. You can still put it in a cocktail if you want to. I really think I've been trying like some of that really high proof stuff, and I do enjoy them, but sometimes it's just overpowering. The Stag just blew me away. The Stag Junior Stag. I have a couple other really high proofs, and it's just sometimes it's too much. I think 100 proof is really nice, and this Frank August is a nice whiskey. Again, that same cherry note right there. On the palate, kind of the same stuff. It is, it's fruity, it's caramel, it's vanilla. There's some sugar in there. Finishing, medium finish there with some of that rice spice again. Maybe even a hint of brown sugar on the palate and on the finish. Frank August. I think guys get this whiskey, or they see reviews for it, and so they want to go check it out. If you walk into a store cold and you see this and you're kind of willing to try new things, you're probably going to pick this up. The price isn't that intimidating. At $76, you're not like, oh, that's just too much to try something new. Well, maybe for some people it is, and for me, that's a decent, I'm willing to give it a go. This nice looking bottle, and I think that the whiskey somewhat matches the nice bottle. I think it's well balanced. It has those classic bourbon notes, though it has a bit of, it's a little sideways as well. It has a couple little twists to it, and I think if you allowed it to open up more, you would even get more of that, like off those classic bourbon notes, and be able to discover those. I'm excited to perhaps next time. Man, it was a nice brown sugar note there, just kind of finishing on that, just right there. It was nice. I'm excited to have this open up some. You can tell I just opened it, just poured it and sipped it, and this is what I think about it. So I'm finding, relatively new to whiskey, so I'm finding that as I open bottles and let them sit and sipping them off and on, allow them to breathe a little bit, the whiskeys are changing and my palate's changing, and I discover new things in the whiskey. And I think this Frank's August one is going to be a good one for that. I also think that if I had any friends who invited me over for a bottle share, which they don't because I don't have any friends, that's what happens when you grow up Mormon and all your friends are still Mormon or recently ex-Mormon. No one really invites you to bottle shares, so I guess I'll just drink my whiskey by myself. But I think if you went to a bottle share, this would be a great bottle to take with you, because I think a lot of guys would not have this, wouldn't have seen it, maybe never heard of it, and would be pleasantly surprised when they had their first sip. It's certainly inoffensive. It's an easy sipper. The proof is just right. It's got some classic notes with some twist to be discovered. That's my take. $76. I'm happy with this purchase. I'm not going to double stack this on my shelf. I don't know how available it's going to be down the road. And with this really small batches, 10 to 15 barrels, maybe the next time I buy this, it'll be a different batch and maybe a little different twist to it. But I'm happy I have this. If you're looking for something different or you want to try a different whiskey, I think the Frank August Kentucky Straight Bourbon Small Batch would be a good way to go. And the bottle looks kind of super sexy and would look great on your shelf as well as mine. All right, my guys, if you enjoyed the video, like it, it's free. Subscribe to see more of my content. Again, I do both book and whiskey reviews. And for now, you know what to do. Turn those pages and stay thirsty, my friends. Cheers.
Power Skull.